All right, welcome everybody to our Tuesday night conference call, Zoom call. I still say conference call, it's a Zoom call. And if you're watching this back, it is a recording on YouTube for you. But thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you for joining us. We are really, really, really excited to have a home office special guest with us this evening. Before we get started, I want to see, do we have any announcements or updates? Anything we need to call attention to the news tab for, Cassie?
There hasn't been any new news tab articles since the 25th last week, but just a reminder to double check the news tab before the end of the month, because there is that what to expect for our monthly product transition for April 1st. And then just a reminder about the last chance to earn the first brick by brick incentive article is out there, and they updated the article about how you can promote Scentsy's presence at the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival. Those are the three most recent ones. And then I know I usually touch on the product status list. There is nothing new coming back this Thursday. So
perfect. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, Tammy, I'm going to let you do our fantastic introductions tonight. So you take it away.
I am so excited. So when we started talking about doing reports, I reached out to home office thinking that they could actually run me through some of the training. And Michelle reached out to me and was so gracious to actually lend her time to our team to teach us all she knows about reports. And so she promises that the training tonight will touch on everybody from the newest consultant to the oldest, like Melissa and I. So I am so excited, and I hope you are excited too. And so Michelle, thank you so much for giving our training tonight. And so I will turn it over. Before I do that, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and hopefully Michelle will get a chance to answer those questions too. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, fantastic. I am delighted to be here with all of you this evening. Thank you for letting me join in your team gathering here and connecting time. And I have to tell you, I get super excited about reporting. So we have there's just so much that we could talk about and cover. And so I'm going to get going. It'll be, we're going to go kind of quick, but I'll kind of try to keep an eye open for the chat as well. If you have questions, as Tammy said, you can pop them in there. Occasionally, I'll be asking some questions too. So be ready to type in there and join in as we go. And the reporting section is just an amazing part of your consultant toolbox. There's so many resources in there, things to help you be able to know how to invest in your business, where to invest in your business, how to connect both with customers and team members, identify the areas of focus to keep things moving forward. It is just this powerhouse source of information. And so what I'd like to do is walk through all of the different areas of the workstation reporting and just touch base on all of those things so that everyone is kind of aware of what's there, what's available, what you've got at your fingertips, and some introductions to how it works, core features and functions. And like I said, it's a bunch. So we're going to dive right in here. I'm going to share my screen if it'll let me. Will it let me do that?
It should let you. You should be just fine. And I made you a co-host as well. So
perfect. Okay, fantastic. So let me get that going here. And if I could just have a thumbs up if you can see that, okay? Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so here we are in the reporting section of your workstation. And as you are listening this evening, I know we have lots of different people from all over and in different places with your business. As you're listening, I'd encourage you to listen both for things that really might be helpful to you individually with your personal business, but also for little light bulb moments that might be helpful for the people that you work with. And to just kind of point out even how a small, simple thing can be an absolute light bulb moment. I just wanted to show you something that made me so excited when I was first learning the reporting section here. And of course, on the side here, you've got all of the options in your sidebar menu. And I didn't know at first that this little tiny bubble here at the top left corner could make a huge difference in how I view my reports. And so I always point this out because this may be so familiar to you that, you know, we get used to doing things and they kind of go on autopilot, right? And so even a small thing like this, as you're working with a new consultant, can be super helpful, because once you click that, the sidebar minimizes, creating a whole bunch of extra space on your screen to review all of the reporting, more of the reporting information as you're going through. Now, the reporting section has, it's split into 3 categories. We're going to walk through each one fairly quickly this evening. And the first that we're going to take a look at is the sales report section. This is a fantastic place to be familiar with and visit often, because it's going to help you with that customer purchase history, potential reorders, how to know who to share particular promotions with. And so when you click on this sales report section, it actually brings you to quite a few different options. The first of them being customer purchase history. And so we want to pop in here for a moment. This is going to allow you to see everything a customer has ordered. So when you open up that section, you'll see something that looks like this. And you actually have quite a few options here for kind of personalizing specific information that you want to look for. In this case, this is your customer purchase history. And so you have a couple of drop-down boxes. The first one here is where you can search a customer by name. Now, my screen is going to look slightly different as we go through this evening, because I've blocked out some of the names, some of the information that would be personal to particular consultants, so that we're kind of keeping all of that confidential. So when you open up your workstation and you search, you click that drop-down box, you're going to be able to, of course, see first and last names. Right now, we just have Lisa on here, but they would be first and last names. This allows you to choose the specific customer that you would like to review the products that they have purchased previously. And so you would just click on the box in front of their name. You can also do a similar function with the customer email dropdown. So you could search by either one if you've got an email or a customer name. Then you also have options here to put in a date range. Now, this information in this section actually goes clear back to 2016. Even though, I'm just going to throw this out there, partly my opinion, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Sometimes going back that far isn't always as helpful as you don't always need to go back as far as you possibly can. When you're selecting a date range, I'd encourage you to consider more specific what you're looking for. It could be that just the last year is long enough to give you information to be able to follow up with customers. And so to select the date range, you'll want to go in here to the start date. When you click on that, it will pop down this calendar, and you have then the option in the drop down to choose a month and a year, but you also have to choose the actual day. So you need to click, like in this case, you see the first is highlighted here because that's the day that I've chosen to start the report. If you don't actually click a date, it won't load into that field. Okay, so then you would do the same thing for your end date. Once you have that selected, then you just click the search button in the top right corner, and that will pull up something that looks similar to this. And in this case, you would be able to see each customer. If you searched for a particular customer, you would only be seeing that customer's orders, but you would see all of those here. You can see where I've added name, address, and contact info. That would actually be included there. So you'd have all of that information to follow up with your customers. But you can see in this view, you're able to see what type of order it was. Was it PWS, club, basket? You can also see the product that was purchased, the date, order ID number, all of that. And so it gives you a lot of information. And as you think about how it might be helpful to know what your customers have purchased before, this is going to give you opportunity to do some follow-up in a number of different ways, okay? And I'm going to kind of keep working along here, but if this is an area that you already have been using in your business, I wonder if you would just type some things into the chat and share maybe some ways that you use this. What are you running this report for? How do you use it to help you with previous orders from your customers? And that might help us share a few ideas along the way too. So if you have already been using this report, type in that section and we'll share some ideas together. As we continue moving through here, I do also want to point out that up in the top left corner, you'll see where it says sales home. This is actually a shortcut. So that's like a hotkey. You can just click sales home. It's going to take you right back to that main landing page for the whole sales report section and allow you to choose another type of report function. That can be really helpful instead of having to go, click the back arrow and all of that things. Just hit that and it'll take you right back to the front there. Okay, we've got several great ideas here in the chat. Following up with a customer, looking back, it's helpful to have specific reference to items with fragrances and mentoring, bring back my bar, catalog transitions. Yeah, so many great things there. So this is where you can go to see exactly what your customers have purchased previously. Okay. All right, let's click that sales home button and it's going to take us right back here to that home page. And now let's take a peek at the reorder section. This is really helpful because I love the way this one is designed actually, because it's going to make it easier to know when to reach out and do some follow-up for potential reorders. And when you open this section, you'll see something that looks like this. You'll notice that this one is structured a little bit different. It's really unique from all of our other reports. Up here at the top, it's going to show you where you can create a range for this report based on the number of months since your customer last ordered. Okay, so in this case, you would put in the start box here. In this case, I have a 0, and then it's ending at 3. So when I click on that search button, that's going to pull up everyone who has ordered from today through the last 3 months. Okay, and it's going to you can see down here below each customer's name and their contact info, it's going to tell me in that box how long it's been since they ordered last. How do you think that might be helpful as you're thinking about who and when to reach out to your customers? You can type in the chat how this might be helpful to you. How would you maybe use that, or at what points do you look for how long it's been since a customer has placed an order? You can add that in the chat and we'll take a peek there. We all know how much follow-up can make a huge difference in your monthly sales, your PRV and activity, right? If you have, and you can see that in addition to knowing when the last time they ordered was, you'll also be able to see the type of order, what they ordered, the date for that order, the total for that order. It's really giving you a lot of information. Okay, yes. So Lisa, you use it to see if they need a wax refill. Absolutely. If it's been 3 months, it's probably time for that favorite fragrance, right? We need to restock. So you can reach out. And depending on what kind of customer follow-up system you might use, if you're using that 1 week, 1 month, 3 month format, you can put that range in this search and it will pull up the people, narrowing it down. So you're not scrolling through all of your customers and trying to figure it out. This will make it just easy to know who to reach out to when. Okay. So keep this report in mind. It is super, super handy. This is also something that you can export. So you'll see in the top right corner that you can export that if that is helpful to you, and then to be able to use that in Excel on your computer to store it in some additional ways as you work with that information. Okay, going back to that sales reports homepage, the next report here is product history. This again is set up very uniquely, allows you to see who ordered specific products. And so when you open this section, you're going to again find a couple of drop-down options that allow you to narrow down on the information that you are looking for. In this case, you have product name and SKU numbers. So when you click on that product name drop-down box, you can see how it's listing product starting with, numbers, so your light bulbs and things, and then it's going to go alphabetically. And so it's got your product list here. If there's something specific you want to look for, you can click the box in front. You can actually click multiple boxes. So you could sort for multiple product items. And then when you can also do the same thing by SKU number. Now, the SKU numbers are no longer included in our catalog. My understanding is that at one point it has been, but you can see the SKU numbers on your order receipts. And so that gives you some other options for being able to look up particular bars or light bulbs. I love that it includes the supply things like the light bulbs, those things that people need to be replaced. Anywhere where you can use this information to help you know how to reach out to customers and make connections is really going to increase that follow-up success. So you also have the date range option with this as well. It functions the same as the previous report. So you want to be sure you choose the start date and the end date, including the actual day of the week. Okay, so, and again, it's also something you can export. So let's go on to this promotions follow-up. This one is a little more new, as more recently added. And this is, they call it the ready to go customer list for specific promotions, which means it's going to specifically help you with some LTOs and some specific product categories. When you click on this section, you're going to get something that looks like this, which is yet again completely different than all of the other sections. And it functions very specifically to help you with follow-up on product lines and collections. Now, in this case, I've highlighted the Harry Potter collection just so we can kind of walk through and take a look at how this works. If you were to click view for the Harry Potter collection here, you would see something that looks like this. And normally, of course, it's going to give you full names, full email addresses so that you can reach out to your customers. But what this does is it generates a list of people who already have expressed an interest in Harry Potter products. So you don't have to wonder who likes the Harry Potter products. You'll have a list that generates automatically with this report. Now you might be wondering, how do people get on the list? That happens with this form, and this is what we call the lead generation form. Whenever a customer visits your website and they go to view a collection that might not be available at that particular time, they will automatically receive what you see on my screen. This will pop up, this window will pop up. They can fill that out and it will automatically be added to your list, your report for those product categories. And so you can always be adding to that as products are moving through. I just want to go back here for just one moment. You'll see quite a variety of these lead generation reports. So sometimes they are specific to like Disney or Harry Potter, things like that. But you'll also notice on here that there are times of the year when holiday collection or harvest collection or Scentsy air purifier leads, you know, there'll be some very specific lead generation lists that will be included on this report. Okay, let's go back here. So there's one other section that's found in the sales report section. I just want to spend a moment here. This is actually not related to everything else. Well, where everything else in this section is specific to helping you follow up with your customers. This is what we call the BAR report, your business analysis report. It's tucked away in this section because of the way it is built, but it's not related to your customers. It's all about your business. And it is absolutely one of my very favorite things. We've only had this for just over a year, but I love, love, love it because it makes it so easy to identify where to take next steps and invest in your business. Now, when you open up this report, you're going to see something that looks like this, which is a very small snippet of what this report will actually show you. So I always encourage people to click that export button, just click it first thing, just export that and send it to your desktop where you'll be able to see that there are 3 to 4 years of data there and columns representing every single part of your business. It allows you to make comparisons between year over year information to be able to set goals for your PRV or just all the parts of your business. And because this is such a large report, it's actually only accessible through your desktop or laptop. So keep that in mind. You'll always want to be on your computer, export that to Excel. There are 2 types of BAR. Everyone has access to a BAR. All consultants. We believe this is so important that everyone has access to a BAR. So there is what we call a non-director BAR that is for essential consultants through Superstar, and then a director BAR that is DQ and above. Okay, they function exactly the same. There's just a couple of different columns based on title needs. And so I'd encourage you to explore that a little bit. We do have some training opportunities available that I can come and explain a little bit more about how to use the BAR if that is ever helpful to you. The second section that we want to take a look at here is that team section. And this is so helpful for if you have begun to grow a team, and you have people that you are working with and encouraging along in their business, this will be so helpful to you. It helps to monitor all of those team sales and sponsoring and trends. So let's take a quick look here. When you open up that section, you'll see the team dashboard, which looks like this. That dashboard is actually something that you can customize a little bit. So on this drop-down box at the top, you'll see right now it is showing financial trend. But if you click on that, you actually have 3 different types of what they call widgets or things that you can add to this dashboard. And it gives you the option to add financial trends, top sales, and top sponsors. Now, financial trends is what you see down here at the bottom. This is always going to be a graph that gives you comparison information, but it still gives you opportunity to make some choices. You get to customize this a little bit. So if you want to, if you see here where it says GWV, that's a drop-down box. So you could switch that to PRV or TWV. And here where it says, hey, I want to compare year, that's also a drop-down box. So you could change that to quarter or month and have different types of comparison graphs pop up here on your dashboard. So you can kind of decide how you want that set up. Those graphs will help you to be able to identify trends, but also in a real quick, easy way, identify even some goal setting things. I know that sometimes numbers, well, for me anyway, we'll just say for me, sometimes numbers can be kind of, when there's a lot of them, a little like overwhelming, but to be able to have this visual representation of what's happening by year, quarter, and month in all of those key areas of your business can make it quick and easy to be able to see that information differently and kind of have some different takeaways as you view it. So keep this in mind. That top sales section and the top sponsors creates a list. I love how simple this makes it, but you can actually choose the time period here, so month and year. And then over here, you actually have a drop-down box that gives you the option to choose whether you would like to see the top 10, top 25, or the top 50 in both sales and sponsors. So it makes it easy to identify and be able to recognize the activity that's happening on your team in those areas. You also have this section, which I think is super helpful because it gives you subscription information, team information. So let's just take a quick look at some of that. If you were to click on that team subscription participation, it will look like this, except it will also list all the names of all the people on your team that participate in this program. So in this case, I have scent and warmer of the month selected. And down here where all of this is white would normally be full of names of everyone on my team that participates in that program. But you can also click on that drop-down box and choose these other programs. So if you're wanting to encourage your team to participate in particular programs, or maybe you've done some training on that program and you've issued a challenge, an activity to sign up and participate in those programs, you can go in and check to see who's been added and who's making use of those things. You can also do similar thing with, if you go to either birthdays or anniversaries, it will look something like this, where you have the option to choose team, frontline, or downline reports for birthdays and anniversaries. So you can choose the month, you can choose how many people you're wanting to send cards or happy mail or emails, however you like to connect with your team. This will give you all of the contact information right at your fingertips, and you can see here where you get to choose the month, keeping in mind that titles will be updated when commissions run. So it does update each month, okay? So lots of options there to make it easy for you to be in contact both with your team members for anniversaries, birthdays, and all of the different ways they can add to their business. Let's take a quick peek at my performance. We'll kind of walk through here pretty quickly. Every time I go to this particular area of the workstation, I'm looking for two things. The first is, how can I celebrate what is happening? And I also want to highlight what could be happening, so that every time I'm reaching out to have a conversation with a consultant, I have those two things in mind. I'm going to use this report to be able to celebrate what is happening, highlight what could be happening. And I do that by kind of creating a custom report. You'll see on the left-hand side a whole bunch of options here. And this section is kind of split into two categories. So as you are putting those reports together, just kind of think through who you want to be able to see. Sometimes there's questions about, do I want a leadership report or a downline report? So we're just going to real quick touch on the difference. That leadership report lets you view information for the consultants that are directly within your leadership, and yourself, you're included in here, okay? But that downline report lets you view information for the consultants in your whole group. So including your team director, star director, and superstar director teams. You're just able to see a little bit deeper into those areas. And then you can also, as you're creating those custom reports, save them. We'll talk more about that in just a minute, but they'll be added to those sections where saved reports on the left. I'm going to go through here pretty quickly in our last few minutes and just make sure that you're all familiar. I'm so glad you can watch this again later, because then you can come back and go through it again, walk through it again, but let's touch on it. We're going to just quick cover the core features and functions of this area. The whole point of this area is to help you narrow your focus to exactly what you're looking for, to be able to reach out to team members and help them with goal setting, knowing where to take next steps. The first thing that you would want to look for is the month and year, and that's up here in that top left corner. When you click on that, you'll see a box pop up that looks like this. You can change that to be whatever month and year you want, simply by clicking the box in front of the month. But you can also create a range by holding down the shift key and clicking multiple boxes. So there are times when you want to be able to see multiple months together. Could be for a date range might be helpful as you are trying to get a feel for the quarter or different types of things where you want multiple months together. You also have the option to choose the view. The view by default will always be group. But if you would like to see, it's the same information, but it's just kind of packaged a little bit differently, you can choose a team view or a tree view. The main difference there is just how the information is arranged. We use group as the default because it is the most intuitive and easiest to work with. Sometimes with the tree, you see, you need to know if you're wanting to look at somebody who's in your third level, you'd need to know who is the first level that they're under. Does that make sense? So it's kind of the branches. The group will show you everyone. So we're going to be working with the group view. Next thing here is the additional filter options. This, when you click on it, opens up a whole new world and gives you lots of options for customizing this report. And so here you'll see where you have minimum and maximum to create a range. You also have all those key areas of your business that are important to keep an eye on, to know if you're being paid at title, if your team's being paid at title, but also if they're close to promotions. So PRV, TWV, GWV, active frontline, all of those things are included here. You also have a spot over here that sometimes consultants aren't familiar with this section, and I find it really helpful. This join date also gives you an opportunity to create a range. So let's say you wanted to be able to see who joined your team during a promotion. Let's say that join promotion was in May, and you could put May 1st of 2021 in there, or whatever it is, in the start, in that minimum box, and in the maximum, put May 31st. And that will, when you run that report, you will only see the consultants who joined your team in that date range. Okay, so let's give this a trial run. We're looking at PRV just for this example. We're going to put 200 in the minimum, 499 in the maximum, and clicking that run report, it's going to pull up a report that looks like this. Now, I don't know if you noticed before, But when you first open up that leadership report, it's going to show you everyone who's on your team. Okay, you're going to see them all. So if there are 20 or if there are 200, they're all going to be there, and there can be multiple pages. By narrowing down, using those filters to narrow down the search, all we did is put 200 to 499, and it shortened this list to 15. Now, instead of going through pages of team members trying to see who's in that PRV range, I'm only seeing those 15. You can also sort that. You'll notice right now they're completely random. The PRV is definitely within that range, but it's completely random in order. So if you click the title PRV one time, it will change the order of those. So it sorts them with in a descending order. So you're going to have the biggest at the top, closest to 500. If you click it twice, it puts it in ascending order. So it is the smallest to the largest in that range. And I would love to, if we had time, we could chat about this a little bit, but you could type in the chat maybe some examples of why you think this type of range would be helpful. Is there a time of the month when you'd like to know when your team members are close to that 500 mark? Why would you like to know? You know, if we're thinking about what can we celebrate with this consultant, when I reach out to my team members, what can I celebrate? But also, what can I highlight that could be happening, right? If you were to run this report maybe mid-month, you'd be able to see, if you take a look at that first line, that particular consultant was less than 7 PRV away from hitting 500. And if you'll notice, the date on this was September 2020. So this is a closed month. There is nothing I can do about this right now. But as a team leader, or even for yourself, checking this kind of a report mid-month, when there's still time to do something about it, lets you know exactly to who to reach out to and come alongside and say, hey, I noticed you are halfway there, or you are almost there, and celebrate what is happening, but then highlight what could be happening and help them know how to work towards that goal in the remaining couple weeks of the month. You can do the same sorts of parameters with TWV or GWV, whatever it is you want to narrow down and focus on. You can take this a step farther. Forgot to mention that you can just click reset sort order, and that will put everything back the way it was in the beginning if you've done some sorting in there. But let's take a look at this feature, the all titles. Default for this section will always be all titles. It's going to list everyone when you run that report. But let's imagine a scenario where maybe you really are wanting to focus in on your lead, star, and superstar consultants. And you're wanting to be able to focus in on those people and help them work towards that next promotion, that leap to lead, or whatever program you are working with. You can go to this section, and if you click on all titles, it will now change to a custom selection. So if you just select lead, star, and superstar consultant, and then run that report again, look what happens. That list of 15 is now only 3. Now you know exactly who's in that title range. You can see their PRV, there's your title range. And then we still are working with that 200 to 499 PRV range. So you can see all of that information. The goal, the whole purpose of this section is narrow it down, get rid of all this stuff that's just kind of busy background noise, because it can be overwhelming, but it also takes so much more time to focus. We know that everybody has busy lives, right? So taking a little time to set up these reports lets you go in there, and in a heartbeat, you just can click and see who you need to reach out to. But let's take a look at one more function with this. We're going to keep on the same scenario of working with these lead to superstar consultants. You'll notice here that you might notice that TWV and GWV and team and group are exactly the same. We don't actually need both of those, right? Because those numbers, those columns are the same because we don't have that director promotion yet to split those out. So you can simplify a little bit further by using the choose visible columns. In this section, on the left, you will have all of the columns that come up automatically in your report. There's a little minus sign at the end of that column. You can click that minus sign and it will remove that column from the report. On the right-hand side, there's a huge list of columns of more information that you could add to the report. I'd encourage you to go in and take a look at that because you can add who the enroller is. You can add so many different columns to get additional information just by clicking the little plus sign at the end of each row and then hit OK. In this case, we've talked about TWV and team. So I'm going to click the minus sign next to those lines and hit OK. And now those columns are gone from my report. Now this report is clean, it's simple. I can come in here, you know, at the same time that I was a consultant, I was also a full-time school teacher. At the end of the day, I have minutes, as many of us do when we're wearing multiple hats, to come in and take a look there. And then I can really focus in. Let's say for this lead consultant, I can pull this report up and in minutes be able to say, okay, what can I celebrate for this consultant? And what can I highlight that could be happening if she worked on specific areas? So narrowing that report down, clicking the saved report option here at the top, puts it into that saved report section on the left. So you don't even have to build it again. It's just there, one click and it's all there. If you find that you're saving a lot of reports, you might discover that it might be helpful to delete some reports. And so I like to just point out this delete report button because you cannot see the delete report button unless you're actually in a saved report. So a lot of consultants don't know that it exists. And you can end up with a lot of different reports down the side that maybe you're not using anymore. So know that once you're in that saved report, there is a delete report option, and you can kind of clean that up as you change things that you're focusing on. You can also export all of these to Excel and be able to work with them in that way as well and combine reports with different features. I'm just gonna kind of wrap up real fast with this picture and a quick story. As a kid, I used to help my dad with woodworking projects. And, you know, I loved it. And I thought, hey, I can be helpful here. And we had a day where my dad sent me in to find the screwdriver. He said, could you just go get me the screwdriver? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. I can totally do that. So I go to the toolbox and I open it up and there are a bazillion screwdrivers. And two things went through my head. I'm instantly overwhelmed because I'm like, who knew there could be so many? Some are long, short, round, square, starred, slotted, you know, I mean, like, oh my word. But I also thought for a second, my dad might have a problem here with collecting screwdrivers. And so I wasn't really sure what to bring him in that moment. Sometimes reporting can be the same way. There are so many options, so many types of reports, so many ways to use the functions and features and filters and all the things. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but I find it easy to collect reports. And I really want to encourage you as you are going in and creating reports and thinking about what it is that you want to focus in on that leads to income producing business activities, right? Collecting reports, the reports are only useful if they actually result in action steps and help you, whether it's reaching out to customers, knowing who to follow up with, reaching out to team members, or even setting your own personal goals. Use those reports in a way that will help you to match them with action steps that actually move your business forward and help you accomplish the things you're wanting to do. There's so much information at your fingertips, and we hope that it's helpful to you. That is a really fast, our time is up. That was so fast. I hope that you'll maybe take a minute to go through and watch it again later. And we didn't have time to do a lot of questions. And I know that you might be having that overwhelming feeling right now, just like when I opened that toolbox and saw all the screwdrivers, because we went so fast. Give yourself time to chew on it, go back and review it, look at it later. And even if it's 6 months later, when you find yourself in a position to need a particular report, just go back to wherever your team has all these things saved and know that you can revisit and look for the things that might click in that moment.
Thank you so much, Michelle. We truly, truly appreciate it. I don't know if anybody, I'll just give them one last chance. Does anybody have any burning questions that they want to ask right now before we're done with this? We're getting a lot of thanks for you, so we truly appreciate it, Michelle.
Yeah, I know it was so much information. I feel a little bit like I just went, wow, there you go. But so if questions come up later, don't hesitate to let me know, because I'm happy to help and answer some as they may come up after you have time to let it settle in.
Well, Michelle, thank
Absolutely.
you so much. And sometimes people are just so intimidated by the reporting tab, they don't even click on it. And so
Yes.
this tonight at least just showed you can't break it. You can go in. I promise you can't break it. It resets every single time you log back into your workstation. So
Yes.
there's no reason to be intimidated, but thank you for giving everybody just kind of that green light to go play around. So thank
Yes,
you.
yes, do experiment for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys. We're going to say goodbye to Michelle, but before we go, Michelle, we always do a drawing at the end of our Zoom calls for participation. So you're welcome to stay or you're welcome to go. That is what we'll be doing now. So, okay, you guys, ready? Tonight's winners: Kristen L. and Wendy S. Yay! Okay, those are our two winners tonight. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This recording will be up tomorrow in case you want to refer back to it. We will have Cubicle tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. It'll be posted on Together We Scent. Thank you so much for hopping on. And Michelle, thank you again. Okay, guys.
Absolutely.
See you soon.